Good morning, students. Now, today we are going to discuss the particular topic that is the caliphates, expansion, civil war, and sect formation. Now we know that after the death of the Prophets Muhammad, after the demise of Prophets Muhammad, after his demise, understand now a big problem arose regarding the succession of the prophets Muhammad. Regarding his succession, a big problem began, or that big problem was that now he had no any heir or successor. Understand? So that is why this created a big question before the Ummah, or before this before the before the Islamic people. How to now how to get the new succession, understand, and who will be the successor of the prophets Muhammad. This big question now, just a big question was to be the resolved, understand. The first of thing, he had a prophets Muhammad, they had no any legitimate, means no, there were no, there was no any his any son, or the his any just his any son, and for the succession or legitimate, who could claim a legitimate right, or claim over the uh, after the who could get the succession after the prophets Muhammad. Now, and because of that, or consequently, his political authority was transferred to the Ummah. Now, these big questions was to be the resolved by the Ummah. So his succession, his right and authority, entire authority, which he assumed during his lifetime, was transferred. It was the given, transferred to the Ummah. Ummah, you know that Ummah was a confederations of the different communities. It was an organization or a federation of the different communities, which different communities now who different communities, and it was the community of the believers. So this right, or this question, big question, was now handed over to the Ummah. And now with the transferred Ummah with no established principle of succession. So there was no any established principle of the succession. There was no any rules, set rule who will be the successor and who would succeed the prophets Muhammad. It was a big question before that, and this question unresolved was handed over to the Ummah. Understand? And this and the confederation of the religious believers, and this created the opportunity for innovation. So this now gave a new opportunity for a new innovation, but the cause a deep divisions amongst the Muslims. And no doubt it was natural that a faction and divisions cropped up or emerged amongst the divisions now arose. Divisions now emerged amongst the Muslims. Understand? Amongst these communities, different communities, and the different clans, who were the different groups who were the members of the Ummah. So this created a faction amongst them to hold the power and to hold the authority of the prophets Muhammad. Understand? So now this a new innovation was made. The biggest innovation was creation of the institution of the Khalifa. So a new innovation was made, that An institution was instituted or the created. Institution of the caliphates, you can say the Khalifa, and the caliphates was instituted, and this was the new innovation before the new innovation amongst the Muslims believers. Now, according to this caliphates, in which the leader of the community became the deputy of the prophets. So, according to this new innovation, the leader of the community, who was also known as the Amir al Muminin, Amir al Muminin. Understand? He was the head of the Ummah. He was the head of and the leader of the community, and he was a leader of the community used to be the appointed as a Khalifa. Understand? Means Khalifa means the deputy of the Prophet Muhammad. The deputy of the Prophet Muhammad. As a Khalifa, he was a, and this new institution of the Caliphates was instituted, and after the is the death of the Prophet Muhammad. The first four caliphs now held their power right from 632 to 661. The four Khalifa now held the uh, position of this caliphates. They held, and they held their power and the position of the caliphates 630 to the 661, or justified their powers on the basis of their close association. And these are all Khalifa, four Khalifa, right from the 632 to the 661. Now they held the power, and now or they now proved it. They tried to justify their power on the and power and their positions on the basis of the closeness. They now try to show the closeness with the Prophet Muhammad. They try to show, and they show it. They shown their association with the close association with the Prophet Muhammad. Understand? And the moreover, continued his work under the general guidelines of had provided, and they now continued, and they performed their they accomplished the job of the and the task which had been the provided by the prophets Muhammad. Now they had their vision in their minds, the what the vision and what the task and the plan had been the check out by the prophets, and they now tried their best to accomplish accomplish the task given away by the prophets. Understand? And drawn by the prophets, and on their general guidelines. The twin objectives of the caliphates were two. The twin objectives, they had the two objectives, particularly retain control over the tribes constituting Ummah. Now there was a question, a big questions before them, that after the death or demise of the Prophet Muhammad, how to keep organized, how to keep organized, organize these different clans together, who were the members and the associates of this big confederation Ummah. Understand? To keep them together. This was the biggest questions before these before these caliphates. Understand? The first to how to keep the control over these different communities, which were the member of the Ummah. First thing. Second, now they after the Prophet Muhammad, divisive forces became very active. Understand? Divisive forces became the very active. So that's why it was the very big questions to keep the control over that. Second task was that to raise the resources for the state. Now they had the prophets Muhammad had the imagination. He had the vision for the large scale, for the expansion of the Islam in the different parts of the world. This was a vision. So how, and now for this vision, for the accomplishment of the vision of the prophets Muhammad, understand. So this now they had to be the make the resourceful. They had to become the very resourceful. Without the becoming the resourcefulness, without the resourcefulness, the task could not be accomplished, because the task requires the resources to be accomplished. Understand? So that's why they had to make and talk out the plan for the expansion of the Islam, uh, by leading the expedition in the different directions of the different parts of the continents, different parts of the world. The understand. So now this the two tasks, they keep the organized, to make more organization, more consolidations, to consolidation, to consolidate the organization. It means, in other word, I can say in one word, that is the unity. To create the unity, understand, in the clans, amongst the clans, among the ummah. Understand. Second thing was that with the resources to raise the army, and to raise the army, resources was the required. Understand. So for these two, the following Muhammad's days, many tribes broke away from the Islamic states. Now we know that the Prophet Muhammad, he was very influential. So that's why after his demise, now many of the tribes now started breaking away from the Islamic state. This was a big question, a big question of the concern. It was a big concern for the and some even raised their own prophets, and moreover some went to extent that they raised their own prophets to establish communities modeled on the ummah. They raised their own prophets, and to establish the communities modeled on the ummah. Many of the communities, understand, and tribes, they raised their own prophets. Understand? This was a big challenge before the caliphs. Second thing is that the first caliphs, the Abu Bakr was the first caliph, and now he suppressed the revolt by the series of campaigns. Now, whatever the different clans, different tribes, tribal groups, they raised their revolt, understand, against the new caliphs. That's why the first caliph Abu Bakr, he now took the task very sternly, and one by one he suppressed and put down all the revolts, series of campaigns. Second caliph the Umar, first Abu Bakr, second Umar. The Umar, what he did, Umar shaped the Ummah policy of expansion of the power. Now, just Umar was in favor of the expansion of the power. Here now, the first Abu Bakr, he consolidated and suppressed all the divisive forces, and brought the unity, consolidate the unity. And second was that, second the Umar was in favor of the expansion of the Islamic State. Understand? So for this accomplishment of this his vision or his dream, the caliphs knew that Ummah could not be maintained out of the modest income derived from the trade and tax. Now the Umar realized, and he now he perceived that the what the income is being raised through the trade and the taxes, it was not enough. These resources were not enough to protect and to maintain the Ummah, and as well as the Islamic State. These resources were not sufficient. Understand? So for that, to raise the and realizing the rich booty, now Ghanima, he now felt that the rich booty Ghanima could be obtained from expeditionary raids. Now he decided to make the expeditionary raids by attacking on the other territories and looting and sacking the other territories. This would have been the very clear way or the very easy way, easy task for him to collect the wealth. Understand? So now he first the Ghanima expeditionary raid. The Caliph and his military commanders mustered their tribal tribal strength. Now for accomplishment, understand, accomplish this, the Caliph and his tribal groups and his commanders muster their tribal strength to conquer lands. They mustered their they organized their army. In other words, we can say that they organized their army, and now they started uh, they started or they targeted the lands of the Byzantine empires, and as well in the west. In the west Byzantine empire, we know very well, in the previous chapters I have taught you the across the continent empire, across the three continents. So now in the Byzantine Empire, Roman Empire was divided in two parts. Eastern part was called as the Byzantine Empire. Western part was called as the Roman Empire. So now this Byzantine Empire was the west, situated in the west of the Arab. Understand? So in the west, this Umar now made the plan to make the conquest over this Byzantine Empire in the west and Sasanian Empire in the east. Now we know that in the Roman Empire, during the Roman Empire, the east of the Euphrates, east of the Euphrates and the Tigris river. Now there was a Iranian Empire. So where this Iranian Empire? Understand? So this Iranian Empire was under the possession of Sasanians, and Sasanians had their control over the Afghanistan and over the Transoxiana, and understand, up to the land of the Transoxiana, where they had now the very vast control, the Iranian Empire. Understand? And the boundary was that the Euphrates and the Tigris. So now the two in the east, the Umar now targeted the Sasanian Empire, Sasanians, and the west, the Byzantine Empire. The two directions now he tried to advance his army and tried to make his expedition. And the Byzantines and the Sasanians Empire ruled vast territory and commanded the huge resources. This Byzantine Empire and as well as the Sasanian empires had the huge resources. They commanded the vast territories, understand, and the huge income they had from that, and the resources to pursue their political and commercial interest in Arabia. Understand? They had the commercial interest and as well as their political interest in the Arabs. Okay. Now Byzantine Empire promoted the Christianity, or we know very well, and Sasanian now patronized the Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism. Understand? Zoroastrianism they now promoted. So the Byzantine Empire was now dominated, and they patronized the Christianity. Here the Zoroastrianism was patronized by the Persians. Understand? By the Persian Empire or Sasanian Empire. So these two different kinds of the religion were being followed. These areas were dominated by these different sects or the different believers. So that is why the ancient religion of the Iran, on the eve of the Arab invasion, now the Arabs started on the eve of the before their invasion. What the area? These two empires had declined in strength due to the religious conflict. Now we know that these two empires, the Byzantine empires and Sasanian empires, were involved in the religious conflict. Understand? And revolt, and as well as the aristocratic class in the Byzantine and the Byzantine Empire, or as well as the Sasanian empires. Understand? These there the aristocratic class, the ruling, the royal class, the aristocratic class were now creating a trouble. They were creating a big troubles before the empire. Understand? So now this made it very much weaker, weaker to weaker to these two empires, and now easier for Arabs. Now, as there was a religious conflicts in the Sasanian Empire and as well as the Byzantine Empire. So now this for the Arab to annex the territory through the wars and treaties, and these conditions, already weakened conditions, now paved the way, and the east paved the way and the easy way for the Arabs to make the conquest and force them to come into the treaty, to sign the treaty. This was the treaties were signed, or in three successful, in this three successful campaign, that was the successful campaigns, the 637 to the 642, within the 5 years. Understand? The Arabs brought these Arabians brought the, now students, you are advised to keep your eyes on the map. You must having your map. Now the Arabs brought Syria. See the Syria, that is the situated on the bank of the Mediterranean Sea, Eastern Mediterranean Sea. The Syria they conquest. Iraq, you can see the Iraq and the and Iran, Euphrates and Tigris rivers in the east of the Euphrates and Tigris, you can see. And Egypt, let's come to the Egypt in the south of the Arab, and in the south of the Mediterranean Sea. Here we can see the Egypt under the control of the Medina, or this Medina, which was the administrative seat after the demise of the Prophet Muhammad, had made the Medina as the administrative seat. Now the vast empire came under the control. Syria, Iraq, Iran, Egypt. You can see that. You can now see this entire area. See on the map. This entire area come under the control. Vast. You can see on the what a vast land. Now very easily come under the control of the Medina state. Understand? Islamic state. Military strategy, religious fervor, and why they got the success. These Arabs got the success. Military strategy. They chalk out the military strategy, and as well as the religious fervors. They were full of the full of the enthusiasm, full of the spirit, new Islamic spirit they had. Understand? And wanted to make expansion of this Islamic states. So that's why Egypt under the fervor, religious fervor, weakness of population, and moreover the weakness of the Byzantine Empire and Sasanian empires. Understand? Make the Arabs successful. Understand? Made the Arabians very successful. Weakness of the opposition, and as well as they were the full of the religious fervor and the spirit. Understand? Or the war strategy. These factors were the main factors of the Arabs to overcome, make the victory over this vast tract of the land came under their control. Understand? And moreover, here we are going to see that further campaigns were launched by the third Caliph. The third Caliph was the Uthman. Understand? Uthman, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, or Ali. These were the four Khalifa. Abu Bakr, Uthman or Uthman, and Uthman or Ali. These were the four Khalifa, and Uthman to extend the third Khalifa, Uthman, to extend the control to the Central Asia. Okay, he wanted to control the center. Within a decade of the Uthman, the extent of control of the Central Asia decade, death of the Muhammad, within a decade after the death of the prophets Muhammad Sahab. Understand? Now these vast territories were brought under the control of the Medina. Understand? Under the control of the Islamic State. And moreover, the Arab Islamic states control the vast territory between the Nile, Nile rivers to the Oxus, Transoxiana, where Nile River to the Transoxiana they brought under their control, and these lands remain under the Muslim rule even to this day. And this all area which the Arabs had conquered, still this area is these territories are under the control of the Muslims, and Muslims are dominating even today in this vast area. Understand? So we can imagine that in all the conquered provinces, understand, they conquered the provinces, and after that they tried to set up their administration, tried to set up the for the Khalifa imposed a new administrative structure. These Arabs now caliphs made their conquest, and now they drawn and they set up their own administrative structure over these conquered areas. Understand? And now, headed by the governors, they appointed the amirs. Governors were called and known as the amirs, and tribal chieftains were called as asraf. Asraf. Governors were called as the amirs, and tribal chieftains, tribal headmen, and each tribes had their own chief. Understand? Had its own chief. The chiefs were called as the asraf. Asraf. They appointed the governors, amir and asraf at the local level. The central treasury, the Bath al Mal, obtained its revenue from taxes paid by Muslim. The central coffers and treasury was just treasury was filled, and it was the treasury was now fulfilled by the revenue tax paid by the Muslims, as well as the share of the booty from the rates. Muslims paid the tax. This was became the part of the coffers, and moreover, the and other was the rates. Expedition was made for the acquiring the wealth, particularly the for the purpose of the acquisition of the wealth. Understand? So now the first source, the tax over the Muslims. Second source was what, the raids and the expeditions. Understand? Invasion. And third, the Khalifa soldiers, mostly Bedouins. In the Khalifa soldiers, we know that the pastoralist Bedouins were the main personnel in their army. They were appointed as an army Bedouins, the pastoralist, and they settled in camp cities at the edge of the desert. Now they were very fond of the nature. That's why they made and settled in the camp on the edge of the deserts. That was their they like this kind of the and prefer this kind of the habitats. Understand? This kind of the habitats, and such as the Kufa and Basra. You can say the on the just a Persian Gulf. Look at the Persian Gulf, and just a upward the Persian Gulf. You can say the Kufa and Basra. These area they had settled down. Bedouins had settled down in the camps. Understand? And they were the one of the part and parcel of the Caliph's army. Understand? Or their army's strength was based on the Bedouins. Understand? And now to remain, which reached their natural habitats as well as Caliph's command. And these were under the Caliph's command, their natural habitats. Ruling class and soldiers received share of the booty. Now they received share of the booty. Now the ruling class and the soldiers also shared. This is called as the khams. I have already mentioned the Muslims now collected the four kind of the taxes. They had the states, the kharaj, khams, jizya, and zakat. The khams was what? Khams was the wealth and the booty acquired during the battles, during the expedition or during the attacks on the other state. Whatever the army now gathered and collected and looted, you can see in the other way looted. That was the khams, and a certain part of the khams used to be given away to the army also. Certain part was the kept by the state, and a certain part and amount was to be the distributed among the army who were involved in the lootings. Understand, the army. So this was the practice. So this also became the part of the became the sources of the income of the Islamic State. And moreover, and the none here booty monthly payments was given as the ata was called as the monthly payment to army. The non-Muslim population retained their rights to the property. The non-Muslims, particularly in the in the Arab territories, the Christians and the Jews were frequently moving in the Islamic State. Understand? And they had the certain extent the religious to freedom of the religious performance. They had the certain extent. They were free to having their religious activities. Understand? They were free under the Islamic. But in lieu of that, they had to pay the jizya. They had to pay the jizya tax, and these non-Muslims called as the dhimmis. Dhimmis या जिम्मी भी you can say tell them the जिम्मी भी कहते हैं, और this they were called as the dhimmis. Non-Muslims were called the dhimmi. Understand? So this is the Jews and Christians declared protected, but they were declared protected and treated as the second grade and second class citizens under the Islamic State. Understand? And they had to be the pay and the state, and given a large measures of autonomy, although they now achieved and secured the large number of the autonomy or the large measures of autonomy in the conduct of their communal affairs also, means the beliefs, and the a certain extents they were free to observe their beliefs. Understand? Students, I suppose that time is striking now. So next we shall study. I hope that you will understand very well. Understand? Thank you very much.